severed head of a Syrian soldier. And the boy apparently is 7 years old, believe it. He was the son of a convicted terrorist, Khalid Sharoof, who flew to Syria in December last year using his brother's passport. We've seen a growing number of young Australians who are flying to conflicts in the Middle East and joining with extremist groups like the Islamic State and, unbelievably, are in effect fighting against what we stand for. A community leader from Lakemba in Sydney's southwest is attempting to prevent radical Islam from gaining a foothold in Australia. And I'll tell you what, everybody who is listening to this program now, apart from people who are already Islamic extremists, should do anything in our power to prevent radical Islam from gaining any sort of foothold in Australia. On the line now is Dr. Jamal Rifi. Have I pronounced your name correctly, Doctor?
Oh, look, it doesn't matter, John. I've been called worse than that.
No, well, I'll control myself.
Please do.
Okay. What, Jamal, I'll call you Jamal, tell me, What is the appeal for young people to join the fighting? Who turns their head around?
Well, look, let me state this fact. What the Sharoof and the picture he's posted, he's turned many people away from this ideology. What we have worked in the last 15 years in the Muslim community is we prevented many people from being part of this ideology. And I'm very confident in saying ISIS ideology and radical Islam does not exist in Sydney, but we have been working and we continue to work closely with authority and the Australian government and to any future young people from being influenced by this ideology, and mainly through the internet and social networks.
Okay, but how can you say that it doesn't exist in Sydney? I mean, it's not something that you could know. It could be bubbling under the surface, and that's the impression I'm getting.
Well, I think it's actually been exaggerated, to be honest. There may be some people, I'm not saying that in totality, but overall, John, if we look since September 11 till now, all what we hear, that there are a handful of people who have joined ISIS cause from Sydney.
Yeah.
And that is, to be honest, one too many. But due to, and let's give the community credit, the government's credit, we have worked very hard in preventing any much more numbers to join such an ideology. And I can only predict it's going to get even smaller after people seeing such image, because it is revolting image.
Revolting.
This guy, if he is saying that he is defending Islam, this is a pretending thing. What he is doing more damage to Islam, to his kids, to his community than anyone else.
That's right. Well, he's certainly doing damage because people can only believe what they see, and if it's there before your very eyes, obviously you're going to believe it. Now, a lot of people are starting to say that maybe the photograph has been shopped, as they call it, and isn't really a photograph, but whether it is or it isn't, the fact is that it's there, it's published, and apparently young people are being targeted successfully to join these radical groups.
John, let me put things into perspective a little bit about this young man. Sharoof is known in the area that he had troubled teenage years. He used drugs. He was diagnosed with a well-qualified psychiatrist to have suffered from schizophrenia. He received the Centrelink pension for his mental illness, and his action proved that this guy is very, very sick.
So this Khalid Sharoof?
Yes.
And he has give them to me again, schizophrenia to begin with.
Yes. He had drug and alcohol issues when he was at school. He had trouble upbringing, issues with his family, and he was diagnosed with by a psychiatrist that has suffered from schizophrenia, and he received the Centrelink pension because of his mental illness.
I see. Do you know if he still receives that pension?
Well, no, definitely that would be, I would say no, because he left the country illegally, and he cannot return to Australia because he does not have a passport.
He left.
He's not going to have any pension by now.
Yeah, he left, I believe, using his brother's passport anyway.
Absolutely, yes, that's true.
Okay, tell me, what do you think should be done?
Well, look, first of all, we need to realize one thing, that people like Sharif don't represent the Muslim community of Australia. And unfortunately, they get too much coverage in the media for all the wrong reasons. While there is a lot of young people and a lot of community leaders like myself, they do a lot of good work behind the scenes.
Yes, I understand
and also the Grand Mufti of Australia, it does a lot of work with the young people, and unfortunately Australian communities at whole society do not get exposed to the positive things. This is very unfortunate, but that's the reality of what's been happening. And I think the community, it keeps doing what we are doing, engaging, interacting, and also sending the right messages that such an ideology is no longer, it's never been tolerated and will no longer be tolerated, and that's what we need to keep on doing.
Yeah, well, I've got to tell you, this is the first time to my knowledge, and my knowledge is quite broad in this area because I've discussed issues like this a lot, but this is the first time I have heard somebody of your status coming out and condemning it, and that has bothered a lot of people in the past. They have said to me, well, if these people are extreme in their thoughts about Islam, why don't the people who aren't extreme come out and condemn them? And at least you're doing that, so that's a step in the right direction. But why haven't people condemned them before?
Well, John, I can tell you without hesitation whatsoever that there has been a lot of press releases in the past. There has been a lot of statements in the past and now condemning such a reaction. And I see it. I go to the mosque, I go to community meetings, and I go to people's places and houses, and we always talk about this, and we always talk about what ISIS is doing. Like when the recruitment of the Serentino took place. I mean, this guy, he was sitting in the Philippines pretending that he was fighting in Iraq, and he was exposed. And then we went to our community and we told them nobody should believe what they read and what they see behind their computers, because these are pretend to be. You need to learn your religion face to face from credible people, from people with credentials, and from people that we are aware that actually they know the religion rather than a pretend to.
Yeah, okay.
And Sharif is a pretend to.
Okay, well, I accept all of that, and we do see Australian Muslim leaders calling for moderation, as you are and others have, but then you see pictures like this child holding a severed head. I mean, that seems to do, it doesn't do a great deal to encourage people to believe that the Muslim community is really moderate.
Well, it is shocking, these images, but these images are done by a sick person. The rest of the Australian communities are, all of them, I would say, are moderate. And I think, John, the test of time proved us right. Since September 11, 15 years ago, this community has been under immense pressure. And if we look at it, it's only a handful of people after 15 years that went to join ISIS and the fight in Iraq. And the fight in Syria has been going for 3 years. We have known only probably, a handful of people to go and join.
Yeah, true.
But that is not a bad track record.
No, I agree. It's certainly better than a lot of people would like to believe.
I mean, I would say one is one too many. One of what we need to do, and we always have been working, we really don't want them to go there in the first place, let alone return being radicalized. We just don't want them to go there. But unfortunately, we can do what we can do, but some people still probably slip through our net, and that's why we need to be vigilant. Okay,
well, how can people like me, because you know that I have great regard for your people, but how can people like me stop radical Islam getting a foothold in Australia? What can I do?
It's very simple. Empowering people like me.
All right.
And giving us a voice.
Okay, well, all you people...
That's why I am with you. That's why you gave me this chance. I'm grateful for you to do that.
Okay, well, you know my number. You stay in touch and let us know what we can do to help, because I'll do anything to see that we have peace and quiet in this beautiful, peaceful, quiet country of ours. We don't want it disrupted. Let me assure you and your listeners, safety and security of Australia is of
foremost importance to us as a Muslims community.
Yeah, because you're living here.
Absolutely. And we take this role very seriously and will do our best to keep it as it has been and it will be in the future.
Okay, Jamal, thank you very much for your time. Been good to talk to you.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Jamal Rifi, who seems to be moderate in his way and seems to be very concerned that we do not allow this sort of thing to gain a foothold in Australia. And we really cannot allow that to happen. It's just not a good situation at all. So beware. It's going on. Just keep your eyes open. Well, that beleaguered sooner than you think.
The Muslim speaker that was very informative and quite refreshing to hear, actually.
Nice man.
Thank you for that.